Welcome. There are some things that I will tell you about that will make you question reality. Take the blue pill and you simply scroll past this podcast and never come back. Take the red pill and I show you how far this episode's rabbit hole goes.
Well, is there a black pill?
Not many know of it. Take the black pill and you subscribe or follow this podcast.
Oh, I'll take
Too late. You already know too much. And welcome to Is There a Black Pill? The podcast where we delve into the esoteric realm of aliens, demons, angels, all that weird stuff, entities that I have personally encountered. You're listening to episode 1, part 1, the introduction, where I brief you on which weird experience the first episode is going to be about. Speaking of introduction, I hope you enjoyed the little intro I put together for the podcast. Speaking of I'm your host, No Sam Nodge, aka John Mason, aka a lot of other things that anyway, just call me John Mason for now. I'm from a little country known as Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean, and I am a creator of things, and I've seen a lot of weird stuff that we'll be breaking down throughout this series. This first episode is gonna touch on none other than COVID-19, that little virus that just barely scarred the earth, just barely changed our lives. Nah, I'm just kidding. I think our lives changed for a very long time. In fact, I don't know if we'll ever go back to the way things were. But you know what? We just have to keep moving on. The reason why I want to talk about COVID-19 is because of certain dreams that I've had in the past. One in particular, and it seemed to have a lot of similarities with COVID-19 and the pandemic and all of this stuff that's happening now. And you might be wondering, maybe it's because you're living through the pandemic, so your mind will be all like, let's dream about it. But no, this dream happened a bit before the pandemic and all of that. But before we get into all of that jazz, if you'd like to contact me in any way, or follow me, or see my artwork, or read my books, or whatever, you can follow me on social media. I have an Instagram, a Twitter. You can find me at NoSamNodge Art. That's NoSamNoj Art on Instagram and Twitter, and my email address is nosampnoj@gmail.com. That's nosampnoj@gmail.com. You can send me anything you want, and one of my goals is to promote people on this platform, not just myself. So if you have anything you want to share, just follow me, and share it with me, and I will shout it out whenever I can throughout the podcast series. In fact, one of my friends, he will be on the next part of episode 1, and I want to shout him out in this intro part. His name is Nika Benson. You can check out his YouTube channel. That's NICKABENSON. He talks a lot about comic books and stuff like that. He's a very intriguing person. You should check him out. And he'll be on the next episode. Well, part of the episode. I need to get used to that. Just follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and my email address is there as well. My link tree will make it easier for you, so you can check all of that stuff out in my link tree. It should be down below somewhere. If there's anything you want to ask me as well, feel free to do so. So yeah, let's get into the dream. So one thing to note before getting into the dream itself is that I have a dream diary, and as you would assume, I use it for playing video games and watching movies. I'm being sarcastic. I obviously use it to take notes of dreams and various experiences that I've had. The special thing about this dream diary is that I like to take note of the dates of the dreams. But sometimes I just can't remember. And that's when my phone comes in. Every time I go to sleep and I wake up, and I've had an interesting experience or whatever, I would take note of it in the phone first, briefly summarize it as much as I can. And the cool thing with that is that the phone would record the date in the Notepad app or whatever it's called. A lot of times people would be like, well, when was it what was the date, or whatever, because they don't believe it happened at the date. And then I would show them my phone. So yeah, that has saved me a lot of times. So knowing this, the date that this particular dream happened, according to my phone at least, is the 23rd of the 10th, 2019. And the world was pretty much the same as it is now. Well, not now, but I mean like 2019. All of a sudden, animals. I remember specifically cats and horses, but it was pretty much a lot of animal species. They were getting this virus worldwide, and it spread to humans. And this virus caused people to act abnormally. Now, I wrote abnormally in Dream Diary, and I remember many times I would go back to it and be like, what did I mean by abnormally? And I just can't remember. When I wrote this dream down, I didn't really care much for it, because it wasn't exciting like the other things I've experienced. It's only when my friends pointed it out that they were like, dude, this is very similar to what's going on now. But anyway, I got off track for a second there. So yeah, the virus spread to humans, and it caused them to act abnormally. And my mom, my brother, my mom's friend, and we were all trying to get away from this chaos, because a lot of stuff started happening. People were looting, and it was crazy. A lot was going on, and we really needed to get away from that chaos. But the problem is, we weren't allowed to leave. And can you guess why we weren't allowed to leave? Just take a guess. So you may have guessed, well, we don't have a vaccine. That's close. In the dream, everyone needed this tattoo. It wasn't a vaccine. It wasn't like the mark of the beast or anything. It was a tattoo. We needed this tattoo to get out of the country, to do certain things or whatever. But specifically to leave the area, leave the chaos, we needed this tattoo, and we didn't have it, so we couldn't leave. So my mom's friend and I went to get it, and we got it, no problems or whatever. We were in the car, back on track, all of us were leaving. So we were driving away from the chaos behind us, and then the car door in the back flung open. This entity came into the vehicle. So my brother was sitting in the back, and I was also in the back seat. My mom was in the front, and her friend was on the other side. My mom was driving, by the way. So this entity was big and bulky. It was like buff, black, dark. Well, when I say black, I mean dark, not jet black, but it was, I can't recall the eyes and the teeth and stuff. I couldn't recall them, because I encountered an entity recently that looks similar, and I noticed those things about it, but I just can't remember the entity in the past enough. But yeah, it had those qualities, and it pulled my brother out of the car. That was the last I saw of him. So he just got taken out of the car, and I was like, what is going on? And my mom just kept driving, and her friend was there, and then the entity attacked my mom and her friend, and they got sick. I tried to spray the entity with hand sanitizer. If you didn't catch along yet, the entity was spreading the virus. So once it touched you, you got the virus. If it affected you is a different story. I can't say, but I know for sure my mom and her friend got infected, and I tried spraying it, but it did absolutely nothing, which is kind of funny actually. And the entity touched me as well, possibly spreading the virus, but I can't be sure. And that was when I woke up from that dream. So again, I didn't really care much for the dream. I only wrote it down because of the part with the entity in it, because that type of stuff interests me far more than a virus back then. In fact, when it happened, I almost didn't write it, and that would have been it. I swear it's only because of the entity. It's only when one of my friends and I guess a group of my friends, but one of my friends in particular saw this dream in the dream diary, and she was like, dude, this is a lot like what's happening now. And I was like, really? So then I read it, and I was like, oh, I don't even remember this fully. Then I started going back, and I was like, yeah, this actually, whoa, that's crazy. I didn't actually say that, but you know. So I thought that was interesting. Now, I have to admit, it isn't exactly the same. Like, first of all, we don't need a tattoo, at least from what I know. I might be ignorant. Maybe some people need a tattoo nowadays uh, to get out of certain things. Sorry, I was moving my fan. I'm just gonna be real with you guys. So, yeah, I don't know if people need that nowadays. I know the vaccine is a big thing that's being pushed. The vaccines, plural. I'll save my views on the vaccines for another episode, or at least the second part of this episode, because this is just the intro episode. But I'm relating the vaccines to the tattoos, because a lot of people need the vaccines to stay in their jobs, or to go to other countries, or to do different things, or whatever. And I heard a lot of people talking about vaccine passports and stuff, and it made me think of this tattoo that we needed in the dream. The next thing is that it's spread from animals to humans in the dream. I can't say where COVID actually came from. The first thing we heard was that it came from people that ate bats. I doubted that, to be honest, but I mean, I don't know. I couldn't tell you where it came from. There are so many different answers to that question. I just don't know. And frankly, I don't really think I care. I think the problem is what it's going to at this point. But anyway, in the dream, that was what I was shown, and well, that's what we were told in the beginning of the pandemic. So I found that interesting too, especially since when we rediscovered the dream in the book, it was when we were still going along that whole bat train, where it came from a bat. So my friends were like, "Oh, dude, yeah." So that was a whole thing in itself. And the hand sanitizer thing is funny too, but I don't really consider that a form of comparison, because anyone would use hand sanitizer to, protect themselves from viruses or germs or whatever. But yeah, that's the first dream, and that, you can tell me what you think about it, and what ideas you have and whatnot. Again, you can message me on Instagram, Twitter, and whatever, and we can talk about it. I take a few years to reply to people sometimes. If you ask my friends, I sometimes say like BRB, and then I just don't come back for like days. But that's not out of spite or anything. It's just that I have a lot going on, and I don't really, have time to message sometimes. But I will try to respond to everyone that messages or emails. So if you have any ideas, if you have anything to say, if you just have something to ask, yeah, just hit me up on DMs or whatever. That couldn't dream. Now, this dream was a bit different, and a bit more specific, I would say. So, we were in the times of COVID, which is now. We were in the pandemic within the dream, and the reason I know this is because at some point in the dream I was at my relative's home, and the television or TV or whatever was on, and there was a news report speaking of things going on now with COVID-19 and the pandemic and whatever. So I knew we were in those times still. What started happening was this disease approached. It took the world by storm. It attacked animals first, and because of that, one of the major changes is that we are now banned from consuming any animals, no meat. And by we, I mean it was a worldwide thing that was placed upon us. We couldn't eat meat anymore. We couldn't rear animals. It was now illegal to do so. And knowing humans, when you make something illegal, it means they're gonna do it. So that's exactly what happened. A lot of people, including a relative of mine, I'm not gonna say who, but I know who you are. A lot of people, they started selling on the black market, basically. So if you wanted like chicken or beef or whatever, you could just message them or find them somehow. I don't know how. I wasn't involved, obviously. But yeah, you can just find them, and they would get you what you want illegally. If you got caught, you would be charged or probably put in prison. Who knows? So that was one of the major things that happened. And the next thing is a bit similar to what is going on now, where contact with other humans is kind of minimal. In some places that's easing up a bit, but in other places you still can't go out with friends and things like that. So that was still happening. And of course people didn't really they couldn't. It's not their fault. It was happening for so long that people just couldn't resist going out anymore and seeing their friends and stuff. Now, I know we have a responsibility and all that stuff, but it's you have to think about mental states of people as well, to some extent. So I understand why this was happening. Another interesting thing that I took note of in the dream diary, and that I remember from the dream itself, is that rock music, like the genre, was very, very popular at the time. I really couldn't tell you why it was popular now, but at least that's something I took note of from the dream. The next major thing that was going on, at least in Trinidad and Tobago, was there was this little business, or I guess a trend, where people would, parents specifically, would pay these people to carry their children to check out the country. So you know that your child has been home for a long, long time. They haven't seen outside much. They haven't interacted with other people. They haven't even seen their country, their city. None of that. You could hire these people and they would drive around your kid and be like, this is Port of Spain. This is how you get there. This is a truck that is, they would just take them on a tour of their own country, which sounds kind of funny, but I mean, they weren't going out, so it makes sense. But yeah, that's basically all I recalled from that dream. So some interesting things to note. Basically, going over the two dreams. The first dream had a lot to do with things that are happening now. But the next dream, the one with the disease, the disease, had to do with, well, a disease, first of all, and the banning of animal consumption and stricter laws or restrictions in terms of meeting with other human beings, and finally the whole taking your kids on a trip thing. So those are the two dreams that I had that I believe are related to COVID and what we're going through now in some ways. Maybe not all, but I see some similarities. My friends see similarities. Do you see similarities? If you do, let me know in the, well, I was going to say comment section below because I'm so accustomed to, making YouTube videos or whatever. I have no idea if you can comment on podcasts. So, let me know. I'll look around and try to figure that out. I'm still learning. This is my first podcast or anything like that. Otherwise, just DM me, and you can follow me on Instagram, once again, Twitter. And my email is nosampnudge@gmail.com. My link tree should be on my podcast website. You'll see that. You'll see the Instagram, you'll see the Twitter, all of that jazz. So you can message me there and tell me what you think. Also, what are your experiences? What are your weird experiences? Things that people wouldn't believe. Things that if you told someone, they would probably think you were crazy. Or maybe not, because 2020 was a year, right? So everyone is probably more lenient, and I bet if you told someone you were abducted by aliens, or if you met SpongeBob in real life or something, they would probably believe you. I mean, I know a few gullible people. I won't call names, but I've met some gullible people. And that's not a bad thing. It just means that they're open to learning and understanding and trusting. They're very trusting. So, if you have any of those experiences and you want to share them with us, feel free to message and maybe just send a summary of what your experience is and tell me about yourself, and I'll try to get you onto the show. But again, all in all, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Well, not watching right now. This is just audio for now, at least. But I really do appreciate all of you for listening. If you made it this far, thank you. And if you follow me, I'll shout out any work you do. Just remember, you can send me these things and I will shout out anything you create. If you're a writer, I'll shout out your work. If you're an artist, I'll shout out your art. If you're a YouTuber, a podcaster, whatever that's called. I don't know if it's always whatever, man. If you have anything you want to share, I'll shout you out. So just follow and tell me about yourself and we'll get on that. So thanks for listening, guys, and have a good, not day, I guess a good life, but what is good? great. Now I'm gonna be like up all night thinking about what good actually means. I guess good means like what you think is beneficial. So, like for instance, right? People would be like, "This guy is a good guy," or "That guy is a bad guy." Well, I guess I can't just say guy nowadays. I have to be like good guy and bad girl. Well, I can't even do that because then people will be like, "Well, how come the girl is bad?" Okay, all right, good human and bad human. But then again, some people don't identify. Oh my god, this is so complicated. Okay, okay. So good thing and bad thing. But some people might think that the good thing is actually bad, and some people might think the bad thing is good, and they might both be equally correct. Is good and bad subjective? Maybe sometimes. Some people don't like pain. Pain signifies that there's something wrong or you're in danger or something. But some people love pain. Like masochism is an actual thing. I know certain I'm not gonna call names, but I do know masochists, and I do enjoy some pain as well. But you know, like different people consider good to be different and bad to be different. So well, thanks a lot. I'm gonna be up all night thinking about this. So, oh well. Maybe I'll talk about that on an episode sometime when there's more time. I didn't intend for this episode to be more than 30 minutes. I have no clue how long it actually is. Oh, and one more thing, I want to shout out Nika Benson one more time. That's NICKABENSON on YouTube. He has a YouTube channel, check him out. He does comic book stuff. He does a lot of stuff. He's pretty cool. Check out his stuff. And he is supposed to be the guest on the next episode. We actually did record that episode today, but the recording was bad. I don't know if there was any problem or something like that with the Streamlabs I used. My laptop was giving a lot of trouble recently too, so I don't know if it's related to that, but his side of the audio was pretty bad when I went over the entire podcast, and that sucked because it was over an hour, and I don't really know if we can replicate that. We wouldn't want to. It would feel fake, you know, and I don't really like that fake feeling in a lot of things I get to watch, and I don't know. I don't know what we'll do. So maybe I'll just not have the next part of the episode, because this did go quite in depth in it anyway. But I'll have him as a guest on another one. We'll see how it goes. But all in all, thanks for listening. I appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next. Well, I guess you'll hear me on the next part. Man, this is weird. I'll get used to it, like sometime. Anyway, yeah, that's about it.